Hello, this is Jim Seekers, the Allover Podcast, and tonight I have Joe McGee. He's a writer, and he's also a movie maker. He's made the movie, he's written the book and the movie called White House is Fake and Letters from Annie, World War II kind of book. So, and that's a movie too, right, Joe? Letters from
Letters
Annie.
for Annie is that's a feature film.
Okay, so how you doing today, Joe?
I'm good. I'm living the exciting Connecticut life today.
Yeah, I'm a little down south. I'm in Pennsylvania, so I'm just a little,
Oh, okay.
I'm a little southern guy.
I was expecting you to say South Carolina, then I heard Pennsylvania.
Yeah, southwestern Pennsylvania to be exact. So, I'm hoping we do good things. Are you a football player? You a football fan?
I used to be when it was more like the Joe Montana, Jerry Rice days. I'm really more into baseball. The Red Sox is my
Okay.
thing. We're not doing too well, but yeah, that's more of a baseball guy.
Yeah, I've given up on the Pirates. Hopefully they'll do better this year. But I'm hoping the Steelers do a lot in their picks because their picks look pretty good. So anyway, so how did you get started? Did you start writing first, or how did this all come about, Joe?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I actually started in I was kind of a late bloomer. In high school, my English teacher, Miss Krantz, really gave me high regards in my English paper. I kind of got like the highest grade in the class, and she kind of encouraged me, Joe, you got a gift, you need to do something with it. And, I really just, didn't do anything with it. And 16 years later, I started to take it seriously, and I did a lot of corporate training and management and call centers. And I decided that my technical writing kind of morphed into my first book called Leadership Lessons Inspired by a 6-Year-Old, which is basically lessons learned as a parent, how you can bridge that into the workplace. And then I started writing from there.
Oh, that's interesting. So how did you come up with? Okay, though your first book was it Letters for Annie, or is it The White House is Fake?
Well, my first book was Leadership Lessons Inspired by a 6-Year-Old in 2016, and then my second book was the one you mentioned, The White House is Fake. That was written in 2017. Letters for Annie was started in 2018, but the technical published date is January 2019, so that's fairly recent.
Okay, so what's The White House is Fake about? Is it a fiction, or is it I saw that and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, I get that a lot. Now the title is elusive. It's really more about the bigger picture. So The White House is Fake is basically based on the Dwight Eisenhower, the National Federal Aid Highway Act.
Mm-hmm.
When he built the highways in 1956, 1957, he did the Interstate Highway Act. So I tied my fiction around that idea that there's something more, that every single cabinet after Dwight Eisenhower was holding a big secret. So basically the book kind of opens up as this. I'll give you a quick spoiler. Nelson Conrad is fishing in Alexandria, Virginia at a local pond. He walks by and he sees a DOT truck. That's the Department of Transportation, parked on the side of the road. In that moment, the DOT worker comes out and he whirls his finger in the air. He's like looking at something or someone. All of a sudden, he starts talking in his walkie-talkie. Nelson Conrad thought that was interesting, so he wanted to see what was going on. He decided to run up into the woods and watch.
Mm-hmm.
About a few minutes later, that same DOT truck driver opened the secret tunnel. In that secret tunnel emerged a U.S. general, a Secretary of Defense, a U.S. Marine. They came out. They had a meeting in front of Nelson Conrad's eyes, and at that moment, they pulled weapons out and they waited for a limo. A limo came up and they left in the limo, and the DOT truck was actually pursuing them as a security detail. From that moment, Nelson Conrad started to follow, and let's just say he got in a little trouble. I'm not going to ruin or say what happened next, but that's how the story starts off.
I see. That's interesting. Interesting. Yeah, the White House, not the White House, but Eisenhower. I visited his farm in Gettysburg. That's where he's, he retired to. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, it was interesting. So that movie is out yet? The movie you made for The White House is Fake? Is it in, you already have it out, right?
So
Are you
that
working?
that was more of a video reenactment. So what we did for that is we took about 4 or 5 chapters of the book and we reenacted. So we filmed in Wethersfield, Connecticut, under the highway. We had a real limo come. We used a truck that we marked up as a DOT truck.
Mm-hmm.
The scene I just described with the guys coming out of the tunnels, we reenacted that scene.
Mm-hmm.
We did another scene with a Bronx, New York rapper called Easy the Mogul. He actually also wrote a song called The White House is Fake for me. It's on iTunes and Google Play. Original song for the book. It's out right now. And he was in it. He played Nelson Conrad, the main character. We also filmed in a library. We also filmed at an airport, a small airport for one of the scenes. We had access to a plane. We filmed in a library, airport, and I'm missing another scene out in a field. So we did about maybe 4 or 5 scenes, and those videos are on my YouTube channel. If you search McGee Productions, you can find all the videos for The White House is Fake.
Yeah, that was I saw the one where he was under the bridge. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
that was, it looked like, I think the one that I saw, I don't think there was any music with it. I think it was just like a rehearsal or a rundown or something like that, because at the end I saw you guys getting pizza. It was making me hungry, even though it was like three.
No, that was.
I was watching it 3 a.m. in the morning last night.
You got hungry, right?
Yeah, I'm like
No, you were watching. You were watching behind the scenes. I was
the behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I was just I was glancing over a lot of your stuff to to do my research, and it really looked good. I saw I did see the one where you were at. He was at the he was in a jail. Now, the guy that wanted to, I don't want to give too much away, but the guy that wanted to throw the phone at him or something, hit him in the head. Now, what was he sounded Russian? How was this? I think he sounded Russian. I know he had an accent.
It was no, it's more of a Scottish accent.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
No, what happened was he's basically the villain in the book called Mr. Hutchison.
Okay.
So in the book, if you kind of read the book and then watch the little video snippet, is Mr. Hutchison basically knows he's on to him, so he brings him in for questioning, and he basically wants to know what he knows. So there's more to that scene, what happens after, but he really wanted to threaten him to kind of scare him, and that's the scene you were watching. Yeah.
It was funny. I liked it. I did. I thought, hey, this is good. But it's the full movie. It's on YouTube. I'm sorry, if I didn't hear you right before. Is it on YouTube or?
We didn't do the full movie for The White House is Fake. It's just video snippets of certain chapters. So on my YouTube channel, McGee Productions, you can just search The White House Fake within my channel, or you can go to McGeeProductions.us. That's my website. And it's about 4 or 5 videos. We didn't do a feature film on that. We only did a feature film on Letters for Annie, Memories from World War II.
Now, The White House is Fake. Now, you wrote the book. Is it a big book?
Yep.
Is it like a novel, or how?
It's a very short novel. It's a very easy read, depending on how fast you read. It's about, I think, 160, 170 pages, so you can blow through it pretty quick.
And you could get that on Amazon?
Yep, that's on Amazon.com, Amazon.uk, BarnesandNoble.com, BooksAMillion.com. You can pretty much find it there.
Oh, good. That's a lot of places. That's great. That's more options for you to find. Let's talk about Letters for Annie. Was it the World War II book?
Yes. Go ahead.
How did you come about writing this book here?
So Letters for Annie, Memories from World War II was not my idea. So it was probably most challenging for me because with The White House is Fake, that was all basically in my head, and I memory dumped it onto the paper. This, I was approached by an old colleague of mine named John Lombardo, He's from Stuart, Florida, and he comes to Connecticut. Sometimes we kind of do events together.
Mm-hmm.
And he approached me. He says, "Joe, I know you did The White House is Fake," and he read it. He loved the book, The White House is Fake. And he said, "Joe, I need your help in writing this. I have about 200, 300 real World War II letters based on the Lombardo family, which is his family.
I see.
And he needed me to basically look at it and see if I could turn it into a book, in which I did. And there was a lot of research that was involved because we're calling it historic fiction because it is based on real events. But the problem that I have is that in the letters, I can coordinate different dates, times, places, that basically events based on that. But I generally don't know what happens with the characters either before or after the letters. So I add just a hint of fiction in certain scenes, so we're calling it historic fiction.
I see.
And basically, I did do some other research on ships. I went to the National Archives in Washington, D.C. to do a little bit of research. So it was really, really mastering the characters and the letters. There was 4 brothers.
Oh.
3 were in the Navy, 1 was in the Army. So I tell the story about all of those people.
Okay. Yeah, I saw clips of it. I think I saw one where the guy was let's see, he was fighting a Nazi officer, I want to say.
Yeah, that's right. So that scene is actually a true story where Pat Lombardo, who served for the 5th Army, and various other units, and basically in Italy,
Mm-hmm.
he was basically came across some Germans, and they were on machine gun duty for 60 hours with no sleep. His superior said, "Hey guys, I need you to advance to find a wounded soldier in an unswept minefield. You need to go and rescue him." And they're like, "Yeah, we can do that." And they didn't have any sleep, so they were basically going up this mountain in Italy. They found the soldier, and they were carrying him back to the station where he can get medical treatment. And while they were doing that, they were taking turns of lifting him, putting him on his back. It took him 15 hours to reach the top of the mountain, and that's where he got the Bronze Star Medal. And that's the scene that you saw there with the conflict with the other soldier where they were fighting the Germans. So that it was an actual true story that we reenacted.
Oh, okay, that was neat. Yeah, I liked that. That was pretty good. I thought for a minute there, I was like, "Oh no, he's a goner," and next thing you know, but yeah, that was awesome. That was a good scene, really good scene.
Yeah, it definitely was.
And I think I saw one where they were on a ship. I guess that was the other brother. They're on a ship, and I guess the commander was talking to them about. I forget what he is actually talking to them about, but they're on a ship.
That scene was based on Leon Grabowski, was the youngest captain in the U.S. Navy. That's true. That was a motivational speech that I wrote. All of those lines that he's saying to motivate his crew, that was me as a writer. I made that speech up, about love and marriage and trust. And, I'm really, really proud of that scene because I think it really gives a powerful message. And it's probably one of my proudest scenes in the movie. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was good. How was you able to get on a boat? Was that that was a real boat, right? Do they have one over there, Connecticut or something?
We had access to the BB-59. That's Battleship 59. That's in Battleship, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
The real Battleship, Massachusetts, in Fall River, Mass.
Uh-huh.
We had access to the battleship. They allowed us to film there, but we had one slight challenge that we had to basically go around with. And what that is that what had happened was that the battleship was open to the public. So I literally had to film around people, and I can't have a guy in a Metallica T-shirt being in the scene where we're in the 1940s.
Right.
So it was very challenging where we had to get the certain scenes down. People can't be walking back and forth, so we did it, though, and we had use of the battleship. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it came out really good. It really did. I was just curious how you got on a battleship. I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. That's nice that you were able to, get a good location on, a ship like that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of great actors supported the project.
So was you in the Navy or anything like that?
No, I have no military background or armed services background. My grandfather was in the what war was he in? He was a colonel in the North Korean War, one of the wars. He was a colonel, but I had no background in the Army. I could definitely have a more of appreciation though after doing this project as far as what was what they had to endure, because my whole book premise for Letters for Annie was that you see a lot of movies where it's all about violence or the enemy is number one priority and really show the conflict with the enemy, but a lot of times we don't factor in the other elements of morale issues with the crew, or weather, or disease, or death because of that. So
Right.
in the book, I hint at those other elements that are kind of often forgotten.
Yeah, that's it. That's good too. I mean, yeah. That's. I was just curious. That's all, because I thought maybe you may have been, and I wasn't sure. When I looked at your Facebook page and all, I thought, oh, he must be in one of them. I wasn't, but like I said, I wasn't sure, and I thought, well, maybe he was. You were in the movie itself, and you were. Was you in any of your movies?
I am not in any of my movies. However, my new movie coming out later, Reflections, Project Chameleon, I'm going to make a guest appearance in that one.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah, I was just curious. Lots of times people that make movies sometimes don't get in them, and sometimes they do. And, I was just curious how much acting experience you have. Do you have a lot of acting experience?
I have very minimal acting. I really want the actors to really convey my vision, but however, the scene that I'm going to portray in Reflections was based on a personal experience that basically happened to me. So I felt it very fitting to be in that scene. So it's a very quick scene. It's not really a whole lot to it. So probably only a couple minutes of dialogue. So I felt I would probably make an appearance in there. So I'm going to do that.
And that's the name of your new project called Reflections. Is it a book also?
It is a book. Also, it's called Reflections, Project Chameleon. It's coming out. We're going to be filming later this year. Very awesome locations. We're going to be on a train. We're going to basically have a lot of warehouse scenes, but it's basically fiction, sci-fi conspiracy about the Russian Federation Army is operating experiments in a company called Red Star Telecommunications.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you a quick spoiler of how it basically starts. You ever watch a movie where it kind of starts in the middle, then you kind of go backwards, and then you kind of go present, and then to that time, and then forward?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to approach it that way. So basically it starts off where Andy, he's riding a public bus. He wakes up. He looks down. He's covered in blood.
Mm-hmm.
People are pointing at him. Then he realizes, I don't even know my name. Is it amnesia? He's not sure. Everyone's pointing at him. So the first thing he does is he reaches in his pockets. He finds some gas receipts. I bought a candy bar. I bought a Powerade. Oh, I got a wallet here. Okay, it looks like I'm this guy, Andy, and here's my address. All of a sudden, the bus stops as they call the police on him. The police detectives come on the bus, question him why he's covered in blood and who he is. He's like, well, I really don't know who I am. Of course, they don't believe him, right? He's denying it. And he goes, well, where do you live? He's like, well, in my wallet, I think I live here. So they take him to his address in West Hartford, Connecticut, is where we're calling it. And the detectives go in. Nobody's answering the door. They ask him for permission to enter. He's like, well, I guess I live here. I really don't know. Of course, they're not believing him. They go inside the house. They find his wife and children murdered, and he's coined for the murder. We learn why that is and how that happened. He really didn't do it, but we're going to learn why.
Okay.
It's all about the Russians who really put him up to this. So that's kind of how it starts off. Then we learn the backstory. We go backwards, and then we come to that present time, and then we start off from there again, and then progress forward. That's how I'm approaching that project.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it's good sometimes because I like it. I like it sometimes. It's like a little mystery,
Yeah.
like, what's up with this,
Exactly.
And yeah, that sounds great, man. And you said that'll probably be out sometime, next year? You giving it?
Yeah, I would say early next year we're going to hit filming pretty hard. We're going to do a quick scene in later in May in New Jersey. It's primarily going to be filmed in Connecticut and Massachusetts. We're going to do most of our filming sometime between July and October, and then we'll start editing and getting it ready probably early 2020. We'll get it out there.
And this is more or less, since you said it's like a Powerade. So I guess it's not going to be like a past, or it's going to be like the present day, right? As far as
this takes place in around 2015, the year 2015.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious. That's all, because I was like, huh. because yeah, you could use the Russians for just about anything, especially in the 80s. So I was just kind of curious. That's all. You know, I thought, well, wait a minute, they didn't have Powerades in the 80s. I don't think. I know there's Gatorade, but that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So now I was wondering. Now I saw that you besides that, have you got anybody else? Because I watched one of your. I don't know if it was like a promotional video, but you were talking about your production company. Have you got anybody else that wrote books that you're going to be doing another a movie for them? Because you say in your production company that if you wrote a book and you want to, get it on film or whatever, have you, are you talking to anybody that way other than, yourself?
Yeah, I have a couple people that are interested. I haven't done anything yet. We kind of just conveyed that message, I think maybe a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely, if there's any other authors out there that are looking to turn their work into either a short film or a feature film, we can help with that. My whole slogan or premises is, making books come alive. And primarily I do this for myself, but I am opening the box up for anybody else who wants to get into that. I think it's a good visual to really tell your story. I'm a very visual person. I'm also, like to tell a story on the pages. Now that I'm making it into the movies, now the people can see what's in my head visually because I can show that, I can share that with them.
Right. So
it's definitely an option. Definitely people can come and approach me about that.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I'm like, wow, this is cool. Somebody that, you write a book and then you decide to, I thought that was interesting. And I thought that, that's a really great idea as far as, what you're going to do. You're going to be able to help, other people with their vision on what they write. I thought that was interesting. That's why I was kind of wanting to talk a little bit about that. And I can't wait to see what you'll be up to with that. Hopefully, you'll get some people. Would it matter? Would it matter to you what kind of movies they were? You know what I mean?
Like, would matter, but no, I know. I mean, well, right now my wheelhouse right now is not horror. I've not written horror. I have not filmed horror.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I couldn't do horror. It's just not my wheelhouse. My wheelhouse is more political conspiracy, like The White House is Fake, historic fiction, kind of war films.
Mm-hmm.
All that's kind of my wheelhouse right now.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious on what types of movies you would do, because that was going to be my next question. I was going to ask you, what kind of movies do you really like to do? So I guess you answered that.
Yeah, you know what? I did, and I'll follow up with something that you might find interesting. Is probably maybe a month or two ago, I was approached by a fan, someone who really follows me, can appreciate my book Letters for Annie, Memories from World War II. And she says, Joe, I have all these. She lives in Florida too,
mm-hmm.
And she says, I have all these letters about my dad, who was basically a B-29 bomber in World War II. Would you want to do something with it? And I said, I surely would. After reflections, I just received 200 letters from her the other day. That's my next project after reflections. It's going to be called B-29 Dream Girl. That's the name of the plane. The story of Gerard Muller. That's his name. And we're going to basically do a book based on the letters, and we're also going to do a YouTube TV series. Every Friday we're going to release a new episode based on the story.
Oh.
So we're going to film the whole thing. We're going to get access to a B-29. I got a couple call-outs right now, some museums and such. So we're going to be starting that pretty hard in 2020. That's right after Reflections, so I'm keeping busy already.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So I'll keep that in mind because I subscribe to your channel. So yeah, I can't wait to.
Absolutely,
yeah. I can't wait to watch that. That'd be interesting, to say the least. I mean, it's good that you're doing like them kind of movies and things like that. A lot of people love the World War II stuff and all, and especially about this time anyway. I mean, myself, I've been watching. I don't know. Do you have Prime?
Do I have what?
Do you have Prime, Amazon Prime, to watch movies?
I do see. I have a lot of friends who have it. Unfortunately, I don't have Prime. I'm more of a. I have Netflix and Hulu, but I don't
Mhm.
have. I don't have Prime right now. No.
Yeah, I have Netflix and Prime, but Prime is really the one of the shows that I've been watching, and I've been binge watching a lot is Man in the High Castle. It's a really good movie. I mean, a really good series they have on Prime. That's what I was just curious if you got a chance to watch it. If you didn't, check it out because it's really good. I think you would like it. Uh, coming from coming from World War II genre, without giving a whole lot away, it's still like a science fiction kind of movie as well. And yeah, it's
Yeah. No. That definitely sounds good. I'll have to check that out.
yeah, definitely. Because you're talking about I know the way your kind of style. It seems like that you're drawn to that, and that's what I mean. A lot of people like that. So I mean, and with that movie, with that series coming out, that's been out. Don't get me wrong, it's been out, but uh, that's great that you're doing that kind of stuff because people are interested in that. I know I'd watch it. I really enjoy things like war movies and things, even if they're slightly fiction but still true. I mean, yeah, I mean that's great that you're doing that and keep that up. I mean, uh, you know, a lot of people really enjoy that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's not just for me, not about just films and making books. I also have a lot of music influences. For example, The White House is Fake. We have an original song called The White House is Fake, and that's out on iTunes and Google. And not just that, but for Letters for Annie, we had original music written specifically for by independent artists for the film, such as Operation Raincoat by
Oh,
Freeze. He's a Connecticut artist. Nicky Scars did No One's Laughing at God. He's a Darby, Pennsylvania artist,
hmm.
right in your area in Pennsylvania. And then we had what else we had? We had a Buzz Bomb who's in Staten Island, New York. We
Hmm.
had Where Were You? Easy Blues. He's in New Haven. And then we had Roy and Rosemary did a instrumental version of piano and violin for How Blue,
Hmm.
kind of a love song. But when that piano and the violin just go, it gives me goosebumps. That's probably the only song I'll admit to that gives me goosebumps. Not just because it's in my movie, but I mean, I listened to that and I approached them. I said, "Hey, guys, I love this song so much. I want it for my movie. Can we make that happen?" And they're like,
Uh-huh.
"We would love to." So if you watch the movie, or if you basically go to the McGee Productions.us, you'll see a little bit of that out
Oh,
there.
okay.
A lot of music influence.
Yeah, I'll check that out. I'll definitely check that out. That's not on. See, I have Spotify. That's the only music app I have. So you can't get that on Spotify.
I don't think their song is. If you have iTunes, I don't know if you have Android or
Hmm.
Apple. If you have Apple, you go to iTunes Store.
Okay.
Roy and Rosemary, you can listen to the preview of Honolulu there.
Uh,
But it's just so beautiful. It's also, if you watch my full movie, right when the credits come on, we basically loop Honolulu is the ending credit music. The pretty much probably about 80% of the song.
I see. That's good. That's good. Yeah. I mean, I'll check it out. I'll probably check out your website and things like that. So I'll find it. I'll
Oh
definitely
yeah, sure.
find it. Yeah, man. Yeah. I just wanted you get that. Make sure you plug them guys. The guys are out there and things like that. I've talked to what was he, award winner or something like. He was a good. He did a lot of music for movies and things like that. Really good guy. I just forget his name.
Oh, okay.
But he was good. He's from out towards New York. To tell you the truth, I can't think of his name right now. But really good guy. I listened to a lot of his songs on Spotify. They're basically just instrumentals and things like that, but they're really good. They sound familiar sometimes because you listen to them and you're like, wait a minute, was that a song that I heard on a movie or what? But it's always good though
Yeah.
to have people you can count on to do music with it because music is good for your the movies that you want to make, and sometimes it sticks in your head as well. A lot of them. I mean, just when I watch the movies and things like that, sometimes it's like when a song comes on the radio, you're like, I know exactly where that movie. I think of movies when I hear songs lots of times. Certain ones that I
Oh
really
yeah,
enjoy.
sure.
Man, it's like, oh, okay, I remember this one. This is awesome. Makes me want to watch them again. It's like, oh, I want to watch that again. But I won't. But you know, but yeah. So that's okay. So um, I have a question for you. Who's like
Yeah.
one of your influences as far as like movie making, like director? Who do you look at? Who do you like?
Yeah, that's a great question, and definitely a few names definitely come to mind. I'll name probably just two
Hmm.
off right now. That would be Tony Scott, who did True Romance, Top Gun. He's done a lot of just awesome movies. And then we have, of course, the great Quentin Tarantino, was
Oh yeah,
also another influencer of mine.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, he's really good. He's I think coming out with a movie. I can't think of the name of it, but he's got a lot of people in it. I know that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Man, it makes me mad sometimes that I don't do my shows with my kids because my kid would be like, "Dad, I just told you that a couple days ago that he's coming out in a movie," and so I get in trouble that way. But I forget the name of the movie, but it's going to be good. It's not in theaters yet or anything. It's just been on. I think either some trailers or I don't know how my kids get information sometimes. To tell you the truth, Joe, I really don't. You know how kids are. But Joe, listen, I want to thank you for being on my show tonight. It's Joe McGee, and he has several two books out, and he had some other books. If you guys want to check them out, White House is Fake, Letters from Annie, World War II letters, and just check out Joe's YouTube channel. Can you say your YouTube channel again and some of your websites so the guys can check them out again? And I'll also try to get them up as well when we put you on YouTube, our channel. So we'll get some more information for you guys to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find more information about me. My website for my films is www.mcgeeproductions.us. You can find more information about Letters for Annie at www.lettersforannie.com. You can find more information about The White House is Fake at www.thewhitehousesfake.com. That's my domain. You can find more information about my books specifically at jmcgeebooks.com. My YouTube channel is McGee Productions. I'm on Twitter at Scorpion King CT. And yes, I do have a lot of websites.
That's okay. And if you have a book and you want to get it to be put in film, Joe McGee's your man. So
Absolutely. Reach out to me.
Yeah,
You can reach out to
definitely.
me at jmcgee at mcgeeproductions.us.
Okay. Thanks again, Joe. I really appreciate you coming on, and best success for you in the future. And hopefully, maybe come up. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk to you again in a year or so. See how things are going. Okay.
I love that. I appreciate the time, and I
Yeah.
appreciate you having me on the show. And thanks again.
Thank you, Joe.